Welcome to DJNTV and Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. Now introducing the one and only Ben Stowe.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Was I supposed to come up with a topic?
You know, I think the topic on everybody's mind is this is the last show we're going to do for 2020.
There is that, but I mean, you know, that's the last one of the year. You know, one of us should have come up with like a really kick butt topic. Was that my job?
Usually.
Gosh,
I'm just the eye candy around here, John.
Yeah, I once again, fishing, ice fishing. That's what we're going to talk about tonight, Ben.
Yes.
We did the baking show with Rachel, which was a huge success, by the way. If you guys haven't had a chance to check that out, jump back to, was it last week we did that? It seems like
I think it was. Yeah, it seems like 100 years ago, but that's 2020 to a T right there. You know, Rachel carried that show, though. Honestly, I'm not that entertaining when I bake, and she is, and her mom is fantastic. She carried that show. There's no question.
And for those of you, when you do watch the show, you've got to keep in mind that this was 2 hours of basically Rachel being on. I mean, there's no other way to describe it.
Just Rachel being Rachel.
Yeah, and she just did a fabulous job.
Her baking turned out pretty good, but I think I gotta say, you know, and I love Rachel Lynch, but I gotta say, she had a 9-year-old in the kitchen. She had a ringer.
She did. I think that those two that she brought in there were just
I think if we take the training wheels off, that kitchen's on fire. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think so. But hey, the tarp was down. So
the tarp was on the floor, yes. And you know what? She had to have those people. It's Christmas. You can't do that to Dottie at Christmas, right? So.
That was just some of those. Again, if you watch the video, I could hear everything. Maybe you guys couldn't hear what was going on quite as well as, but there was some times when you could hear Dottie's exasperated comments.
She's fantastic. You know, they're both just, you know, first of all, you know, I mean, Rachel's, she's just genuinely funny. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not a shtick. It's not an act. It's just, she's just being herself. And I think that's what's great. I think one of the things that I've always really enjoyed when we used to go out and go to trade shows and travel and meet people, which we look forward to doing again, is people that would meet me for the first time after years of watching the show would say, wow, you're exactly like you appear on the show. You're really just you. That's not a character. I'm like, no, it's not a character. If I was going to write a character, it wouldn't be this one. Okay. Like, this isn't what I would script. No. And Rachel's just the same way. It's just, she is who she is. And she's just, you know, unabashedly her. And I think that's just awesome that she's just, you know, she's unapologetically her, and so is her mom, and the dynamic is fantastic. And yeah, they carried that. I applaud people for watching for 2 hours, because I know we were not that entertaining, but so many people said, you know, it was just what they needed, you know, to kind of wrap up the year for Christmas. And I think maybe that's our topic for today is let's wrap up 2020. You know, what a crappy year. I don't think anybody had a great, well, yeah, Amazon did, but you know, everybody else had a great year.
But Ben, I even though, you know, it wasn't a business financial great year for a lot of us, things happened this year, and you're experienced the same situation where you were able to do things with your family and spend time with your kids that doesn't happen any other year. No
question, and we talked about that I think in the past, and I actually began to experience for the first time in my entire adult life, because I started this in this industry at 17. So I mean, before I met my wife, before I was, even grown up, I was already into this crazy schedule, and it just has gotten worse and worse and worse, or better and better and better, depending on how you want to look at it. Right. But the time commitment has just increased on me, I guess. And, like I talked about in a Facebook post, that Christmases past, I was, flying around the country or touring, coming home December 23rd, rushing home. The house is decorated, the trees are decorated, the goodies are baked, and it's, okay, let's hurry up and have Christmas now. Or, at least then I could sort of hit the brakes and have Christmas. But it was, hurry up to that point.
Right.
And this year, it was very different. I was home, the entire month. We watched 25 Christmas movies.
Nice.
As a family. But I think I'm beginning to experience people who are around their families every day. And so this is just my perspective, viewers, take it or leave it. But something I've noticed is that I feel like in a lot of ways, I appreciated my family more when I was gone a lot. And I think that, when you wake up in the house every day and they're in the house every day, you can begin to sort of just take for granted that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that, beginning to occur. So I guess it's sort of a cautionary note that if you're blessed enough to be home with your family every day, don't assume that you always will, right? For one reason or another, right?
Right.
So, yeah, and I think that, we've really enjoyed our time. You and I are talking about fishing. I went out fishing twice this year, which is 2 times more than I've gone the previous 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely going to do that next year. I'm definitely going to do more of that. Just sort of carve out some time, which is actually a great segue to a comment that Corey Hansen made. And I want to bring that up later, but I just want to remind that sort of, balance thing. By the way, John, you and I should do a fishing show, I think.
We did baking, so now we can progress to the wild outdoors of a frozen lake.
Why not? Grumpy old men style. We're both in Minnesota. We have frozen. And by the way, courtesy of my friends at Visit Bemidji, which is where I live, Bemidji, right? I have a new hat I can wear fishing. So
that is pretty epic.
What do you think?
There's some hat envy going on here right now. I can feel the hat envy.
It's so cozy and warm. Yeah.
There's no way you're going to get cold.
I was good because we're getting a bunch of snow. I'm going to need that later. I'm going to go out and have to snow blow.
Yeah. I was just thinking that too. It's like, maybe when the shows are done, instead of heading to bed, I'm going to have to get behind the snowblower for a while.
I'm going to see if my friends at Visit Bemidji can spare another hat. So I was thinking about, 2020 wasn't all bad, but, there's always silver linings, and we had a lot to be thankful for. We had, certainly most of us in America, even if things went really bad, they still weren't that bad. Mm-hmm. There are people who live in much worse every day. They would love to have our problems, as I said, in my Thanksgiving video. But I think everybody can agree that 2020 was kind of a dumpster fire, and particularly for our industry. And so what a lot of people have been thinking about, questioning, commenting on, as we end 2020 is, what will 2021 be like? Now, I don't want to jinx it. Believe me, everybody who celebrated on December 31st, 2019 said, 2020 is going to be great. Yeah. I'm not saying a word this year. Not a peep. But I will say that here's a couple things I want people to just take, to mind here, as this is the last show of the year for us. No tech topic, not our usual stuff. But December 21st, shortest day of the year. That's behind us. The days are getting longer. That means, we're coming out of winter. We got a few months left, right? For those of us who live in the cold climate, but the days are getting longer. They're getting brighter. They're getting warmer. So that's one good thing to look forward to. Something like 2.1 million vaccine doses have already been administered in the U.S., and they were only approved like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Certainly, I hope that pace increases, but that's good. It's reality now.
It's moving,
yes. Reality. Millions of people are getting vaccinated. That is a necessary step towards our industry's recovery. I saw an article that, and of course this changes, and that can be very frustrating. Is it seems like every time you look, the target maybe has moved. But Dr. Fauci was saying that we might have herd immunity by mid to late summer, and we certainly don't have any level of herd immunity now, and we already have some small weddings in some states. So I think that's a really good indicator that as DJs in particular, like I said, we're affected the least of any of the entertainment industries. They'll be the first to recover. And I think that we're going to see DJs working increasingly into the spring. And hopefully by summer, it's more or less, dare we say, normal. Mm-hmm. We might still have some social distancing requirements. We might still be, wearing masks, but bottom line, we'll be working. In fact, a casino contacted me about events in March. I'm kind of like, really? You think that's going to really happen? I don't know. But the fact is, people are beginning to discuss and plan and move in that direction.
Oh, and for sure.
So are clients. And I'll say this. So I mentioned, balance. And I mentioned my friend Corey Hansen. He is completely booked for 2021. He established a number of dates, which is not a small number, that he wanted to do. And he is completely booked as of, I think, a couple days ago. And he said he might take a couple more, but he's setting aside some dates for family. So that's a really encouraging thing. That his calendar is full. He's booked for 2021. Of course, barring any changes there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just gonna ramble. I got a bunch of stuff I want to say, but I kind of interrupted you when you were about to say something. So,
and I don't remember what it was.
Well, I'll just keep rolling then.
Yeah, I was gonna say it couldn't have been that important.
Well, the dean of Brown University's School of Public Health, Anish Jha, I think you pronounce his name, but he says he's hoping to have 4th of July barbecues. So I think we're seeing some really positive signs from the health professionals, but we're also seeing really positive signs from clients. I think that, we're going to see people beginning to, well, I shouldn't say beginning to, because it's already very much happening. I was talking to another friend, Rod Baker. Let me just make sure I get his quote exactly right. He sees tons of inquiries. He actually raised his rates due to the increased demand. He recognizes that the demand is going to be higher in 21 than it's been in the past. So he's actually raised his rates to kind of capitalize on that. Mm-hmm. He says he feels like it'll be very much like the amount of work he did in 2019. And then sort of in a different tack, Ryan Smith from Planet X Industries, he did really well throughout the year, just with innovative things, changing up what he was doing. And I get a sense that he's looking forward to a pretty bright 2021 as well. And this should not be viewed in a lens of jealousy or envy, but rather a lens of inspiration. You might be tempted to say, oh, well, good for Corey, good for Ryan, good for Rod. My calendar isn't full. Okay, well, that's one way you can look at it. The other way you can look at it is, it could be, it could be yours, that the clients are booking, things are reality, the vaccines are being administered. And I think we have an awful lot of positive to look forward to in 21. Now, we don't know what normal will mean. We don't know what the future will look like, but I think we can all cautiously say that 21 should be better than 20. Don't want to jinx this. Mad Max was filmed in 21, I think. Was set in time for 21. You got anything good to add here?
I was just going to say, you mentioned that people will be working, and I think that's going to be the big thing, is that the difference between 2020 and 2021 is we will be out and the opportunities will be there to work. Now, there's some people will choose not to because of wanting to have a better balance of weekends with family and weekends working. But I think the opportunities will be there at a level. Now, it may not be the same money as we were getting at a past time, because our services are probably going to be a little bit different, most likely.
In Rod's case, he's charging more.
Yeah, and it might be situations where you are in a fortunate demand situation. So it's going to be all over the board. I think the only thing that a person can say is that flexibility is going to be key, to be flexible absolutely. And adjust as needed.
Yeah, I think that's if you aren't willing to adapt, the future is going to be hard for you no matter what it is.
Right.
If you're selling buggy whips in the era of the automobile, to coin a phrase, you're in for a rough go.
So
what? Adaptability is necessary always.
My buggy whip business that I was going to launch next week?
I would put the brakes on that.
Fine.
Yeah, I'd focus on rabbit
How
fur
about
lined-
my incandescent light bulb business? I was just ready to launch that one a couple of weeks after that. I think there's a big demand for incandescent.
No, too soon. Too soon. You got to give it about 10 years, and then all the hipsters will want them again. So,
I'm ahead of my time.
any hipsters that are watching, sorry, not sorry. I'm just jealous of your beards. So, but anyway, I think it's important to note too that we only have 2 vaccines that are on the market right now, and Johnson & Johnson has said they're fully enrolled in their phase 3. And then AstraZeneca and AstraZeneca's CEO just announced that he thinks theirs will also be 95% effective. And that is the biggest commitment the U.S. has. I believe it's 300 million doses, which I think is more than the Pfizer and Moderna combined. Mm-hmm. So, that means that even though the train is rolling right now, we've still got, there's some booster rockets about to kick in here on our progress on this. That's an important note, though. Rochelle Wolesley, who's going to be the future CDC director, said, and I'm going to get this quote here from her, we'll recover faster if the vaccine has less work to do. So one thing I want to say is this should not be taken to mean that we can be reckless. Mm-hmm. Our future is in our hands, right? So, in fact, I got some charts and graphs here. Wouldn't be a show with Ben if we didn't have some charts and graphs. So, let's take a look here. Let's do it this way. Took this off the World Meters website. This shows the 7-day moving average of United States daily cases. I have a couple other charts that I created that I'll show you about the daily cases, but we can see that we're beginning to come down on the downward trend here. Obviously, we're way above where we were, and we don't want that, but we're beginning to trend down, which is good. Some of the things are working, and they're getting us back into a place. So I think that 1, 2, 3 punch herd immunity vaccines, and then just common sense is going to get us in a place where we can start having these events and things again. I'm also happy to see that the daily deaths are coming down too. There was a lot of concern that those would lag behind the cases and continue to rise, but it seems like they're coming down. Again, this does not mean we say, oh, good, it's all over, call it quits, pop the cork, champagne. No, we got some work to do still, right? But it's, to me, I see this as encouraging news. And this is the state of Minnesota, which, doggone it, it feels pretty good to be in Minnesota right now because we're looking pretty good as a state. Yeah. We're looking pretty smart. Actually, not to pick on any states, it's not the intention of this, but about 45 states are looking pretty good. So here's something else I want to show is of the new daily cases in the U.S., 32% of them come from 2 states. California and Texas account for 32% of all the new cases. And I think this is kind of indicative of what we might see in the future, that we might have regional hotspots. Yeah. So in, the vast majority of the country, people might be working with some regularity, and we might have some isolated hotspots here and there, but we're not going to hopefully see national issues, once we kind of get this thing behind us a little bit. I think in a lot of ways, this to me is actually sort of encouraging to say, well, we don't have, again, I don't want to say everybody should go be reckless, but the problem is not as big nationally with the surge in cases as it appears when you take out these 2 states, or even the top 5 account for half of all the new cases, which means the remaining 45 states combined account for 51% of the new cases. So, there's a lot of sayings about numbers and statistics and whatnot, but I take this to mean that I think in areas we can get this thing under control and we can get back to work. Mm-hmm. To me, that's the key. If you don't have infected people, you're not likely to have spread, right? Yeah. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a virologist. I'm not an epidemiologist. Just a guy who wants to go back to work, but he wants to do it safely and responsibly.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the most exciting thing is as we're seeing things move forward. And if, as you mentioned earlier, she made the comment that if the virus or the vaccine doesn't have to do the heavy lifting, in essence, to paraphrase, it could get us back to functioning much quicker. Or
absolutely, all of these lockdowns, shutdowns, restrictions, all of those things are based on cases and risk. As scientists and officials are trying to determine what the best course of action is. It's easy to armchair quarterback them. I've had some friends of mine who are former legislators and mayors and whatnot, and they said, "What would you do?" And I said, "There's a reason I didn't run."
Yeah.
Like I don't want to make that call. I mean, it's easy to throw rocks at them and say, "Well, they're idiots," and some of them make it easier than others to say that. But bottom line, I think that it's all predicated on caseload. So if we get the cases down, even before the vaccines are out, we're much more likely to go back to work early. Spring's going to be a lot better. And again, DJs have the best opportunity to go back to work before everybody else. I think it'll be, mid to late summer for festivals. Outdoor stuff, of course, is great. And then hopefully by fall, when we start to come back indoors, we're at a place where that's safe to do that. And we can sort of roll as normal. Things, dare we say, can come back to normal. We can have indoor sports and indoor concerts. So I am guardedly and cautiously optimistic for 21. I think the opportunities are going to be there. The government's establishing a better sense, although it's difficult to pay them a ton of compliments, but I think they're establishing a better sense of what's necessary to prop business. And we're starting to see more attention being paid to the gig economy and sole proprietor, small business, DJ, that sort of thing. So in a way, this is sort of a message of inspiration, hope, and sunshine backed up by numbers and science. I hope.
So let's. We somewhat alluded to a couple the time with family, but so what are you going to? So there's going to be some things you're going to take from your modification of your lifestyle from 2020, and it's going to continue with you. Are there more things than just the time with family that you want to try to you work that balance for next year?
I'm sure there are. I've discovered that in some ways I really like working from home. I can be a little bit more focused. I don't have 50 people knocking on my office door every hour. But in other ways, I really miss going to work. I miss seeing my colleagues. I miss seeing my coworkers. I miss being around the products and things, like I can be immersed at the shop. So there might be a little give and take there where maybe some days I work at home and some days I work at the office. Obviously, we've carved out an effective workspace, here at home. So I think, thinking, like you said, about family and balance, I've been a pretty dedicated workaholic for a long time, and I love our customers, and I manifest that love with tremendous, work. But in order to love them, I have to love myself a little bit too. And so I think, like I said, I'm going to just, might be a couple of times people send me a message and I'm like, hey, I'm out fishing. Please talk to one of my supremely qualified coworkers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that, there's a lot of things. It's been, hard to believe that it's been almost a year since I've been on an airplane.
Yeah.
10 months.
So it was the last airplane, was that coming back from
Orlando, right after
you went from
Orlando. Yeah.
You went to Orlando after that. Yeah. Yeah. The number of those of us who travel and such, and it's like, yeah, February was the last time in our case that we flew, and it's like, it seems like 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
How things have evolved. Yeah, that's talking to people out there, and of course, if a person's had a family member or a close friend or someone who has passed away prematurely because of the situation, that puts you in a different conversation piece, I feel. But for the majority of the people who haven't had that experience, I think there are pieces of 2020 they're going to hold on to, and it's going to be looking back in 10 years and say, you remember that year where we couldn't do anything and we sat around and played Uno for like a week straight? I think there's going to be some things that come out of it like that, and it will become that story of the the snow 4 foot high and we walked uphill both ways to school. That type of, I think it's going to get into that type of a lexicon at some point in time for a lot of people.
Well, there's no question about that, and I have lost friends and loved ones this year, both from COVID and from just other things, and I have friends who've lost loved ones, and I think there's no way that I can say this and it's not going to come out wrong. So just give me some grace here, viewers. I don't mean to say, people die every year in a way that diminishes the importance of that, but it's true. We lose loved ones all the time, certainly disproportionately so in 2020. But I was just thinking about Christmas. I was thinking about my grandmother, her favorite holiday, bar none. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about the blessing that I had several years ago, the year after her death. We were going through some things as we prepared to sell the house, and she loved Christmas. I mean, she loved Christmas to the point where it was all year round, right? Mm. So she was buying gifts during the summer, forward thinking to Christmas, not like me, who goes out on December 24th and panic shops, And I found a gift that she had purchased and wrapped for me and was never able to give it to me because she died. And so was able to open that gift, posthumously. But, I don't think about the year that she died, as that doesn't define the year to me, like that isn't what defines the year. I do agree that 2020 has a lot of defining factors. So, my wife's brother died this year. A lot of, there's a list of friends from our industry on the whiteboard that you can't see just to my right of people that have died in our industry. And, but I'm gonna honor their memories and cherish their memories and not just think about 2020 as that, Mm-hmm. I may just not think about 2020 at all. Anyway, I don't know, we really didn't come to a point there, I guess, but just to say that, I think it will be sort of like you said, a lexicon. But I'm thinking more about the future than I am about the past,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's as we look ahead, going forward. And people were talking the other day about, well, what have you learned from this year? Every situation you like to, make it a learning opportunity if possible.
You should.
And there's some things we could learn, and probably many of those are falling into Dave Ramsey wheelhouse, for lack of a better way to describe it. But there's a lot of things that happened this year that were so out there that there's no way you could prepare for it. 2 point.
Right.
There's no way you could see it coming. That train was coming, and we didn't. Who knew that a train could go down a deer trail type of thing? There was no sign that this was. So, I think that the only thing that a person can really take from this year really is that there's so many things you just can't take personally. Things are going to happen, and they're not. People don't hate the DJ industry, and they don't hate the entertainment industry. They don't hate this. They hate that. It just was one of those things that things happen, and we're back to our flexible. Let's make the best of today, so we can have a brighter tomorrow. Is really about the only lesson I can come up with.
When it's 4th and 20, you punt.
Mm-hmm.
You kick the ball. And like I said, I'm glad I'm not a legislator or a governor. Like I said, I'm not defending any of their actions. I'm not criticizing any of their actions. I'm just saying that pretty tough to sit in that chair. I think it's a lot easier to armchair quarterback it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. And of course, as an administrator within our own company, I try to make good decisions, and I'm sure that some people question my decisions and they think, what is he thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Where did he come up with that? I don't know, but that's just sort of the nature of the beast when you're in a leadership role, that not everybody's going to agree with your decisions or question them. I feel like I make good decisions. I feel like our staff likes them, but that's maybe not entirely true. You should get them on here sometimes.
Or I could invite your teenagers in. They probably have an opinion on some of that too.
I guarantee you they do. I guarantee you they have opinions about my leadership at home here.
Yeah, when I sent you that picture of that little fish there that was not paying attention to me and ignoring me, I'm thinking, this is like a meme for teenagers.
Well, I have two of them here at home, and
they just ignore you.
There's times that they think you couldn't possibly know anything about the world or their situation, and I think there's two parts of that too. One, you have to recognize that whatever isn't their situation, but you also have to know what and say, look, I was a teenager, and certainly some things are different, but there's a lot of things that are the same. I think one thing we know, and this is a great way to tie 2020 into this, is one thing we know is after we live enough, we know what won't kill us, in a literal or metaphorical sense. But, you just get a bit more patient, a bit more resilient. You say, well, you know what? The sun did come up the next day. Mm-hmm. And as far as I know, it's going to come up January 1st, 2021. And, we'll just keep moving forward. I think that's maybe a good analogy. Teenagers have a limited scope. They have a limited grasp of the world. So small things can become big tragedies in their eyes. And we look back on those things through the lens of history and say, I survived high school, and, life goes on. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe that same thing can be applied. I don't want to trivialize a pandemic by comparing it to high school. That's not what I'm trying to do. But you get my point. And we can say, 2020 is over, and we did survive it. Mm-hmm. We took our beatings, but we're here. We're standing.
Okay, we got a few more minutes here, Ben. And what I want to do is, I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about this. I want you to pick 3 things that would be things you're looking forward to doing in 2021. That basically are things that we've done in the past that you missed this year. I mean, that's just like, oh man, give me the top 3 things. So while you're thinking of that, next week, of course, is the new year, and with the DJNTV things, we're going to be kind of changing things up just a little bit. In December, we did a lot of the kind of chill room chats. We're going to be doing a combination of those and live shows. There will be live shows. There will be some pre-recorded things that are going to be shared throughout the different channels and such. But we'll be still doing things next week for DJNTV, but you're going to hear some changes if you haven't already heard about those, and we'll be talking about those with this January 2021's issue of the Disc Jockey News as we go forward. So Ben, 3 things, and I've kind of made my little list here of 3 things, and we'll go back and forth. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first because I'm struggling to decide what things are separate from other things.
Yeah, I get that though.
So they're all sort of somewhat interconnected, I think, because they're all tied to the things that we can't do, right? Mm-hmm. So I will say that I really look forward to being able to shake hands and hug my friends and customers again. Mm-hmm. And if you're not a hugger and you're weirded out by that, it's fine. We'll just shake hands. But I'm a hugger, and there's people I hug, so there.
I get that.
Yeah. Also, as you know, I'm also a wrestler, so the kind of hug Howie's going to get is going to be a little different.
Yeah,
so.
The Howie hug. You won't have to get the Howie hug unless you want, but that's optional. That's optional. So the top one of one of the things I just missed really this year is just the ability to go say, hey, hon, you want to go out? Let's go out and have dinner and go hit a local spot, just to go have dinner and sit and chat around their dining room area, because there's we know everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people in the community, small towns, and you just miss that ability to, kids, make pizza. Mom and Dad are going to go out and have a date night tonight. I've really, especially as the year's gone on and we've gotten into the cooler season, this is the type of year we would do it in the fall and the winter. And it's like, oh, I miss that. Number 2.
I think you helped me figure out my number 3 there. I'm trying to put a name on it. I think you helped me. Number two, I was talking to my friend Brian Roberts the other day, and he was talking about how, and he and his daughter run their DJ company together, and they said that their big system hadn't moved since March, or whatever it's been. And I thought, yeah, neither is mine. I mean, I'm really looking forward to experiencing sound like that again, and helping other people experience it too. But I got to be honest, I don't even care if nobody else is there. I'm ready to just, hear big sound again. Just come on with it.
Yeah. Yep. I hear you there. Is it when I set the speakers up for that Black Friday thing? It's like, wow, DJ speakers sound good. I haven't had the Evolve 50s out and actually pushed them at all. And maybe early. No, that was their first time of being out. I think, because I think I used the Evolve 30s the other time. Anyway,
now you can just imagine what I'm missing.
Yeah, exactly. Your system's like a step up from the Evolve 50s. One step up. One.
Same engineers though.
Yeah. One of the things I miss is going to the trade shows, and that encompasses the travel part and hotel, but I miss going to trade shows and the excitement of walking up to a booth that I have no idea really of what's new, what's fun. And you go up there and it's like, hey, tell me about, and some of these companies that, whether it's in the hardware or the DJ arena or what have you, and the excitement that of doing these interviews and the finding these little gems at the, at NAMM or wherever it is, I miss that. Because that's such a cool experience, and you feel like I found this really cool little thing down in the basement at NAMM. This is so awesome.
The basement, the basement. Yes,
yeah. And it's like,
we've talked about the NAMM basement on previous shows. Viewers, if you're wondering, to go back and watch previous NAMM shows.
Yeah, that's a unique spot. But yeah, just the trade show thing and the information and such that you can glean from those. Yeah, that's definitely something I missed this year.
And there really is a basement. Like, he's not joking. There really is a basement in NAMM, and it really is a place of unique wonder. Not unlike a lot of basements. You just don't know what you're going to find down there.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, for my number three, I think it's sort of a lot of things lumped into one. So I'm just going to say being in crowded places. Mm-hmm. And that could be a movie theater, an airplane, a trade show, a cruise ship, which, by the way, the cruise industry is reporting record bookings in 2021. So again, signs are very positive. But it just encompasses so many things. That's the complete opposite of everything we've done this year, being in a crowded place. Mm-hmm. Christmas was really weird this year. It's just, it didn't even really necessarily feel like Christmas. Same with Thanksgiving. And in some ways that was good. And in some ways that was bad. I never changed out of my pajamas on Christmas Day, because it was just us. It's just the four of us here. And my mother-in-law is living with us for right now, but just the five of us, and was no pomp and circumstance, was no, whatever. By the way, my wife cooked her first Christmas dinner without, everybody help, and it was dynamite. She absolutely crushed it. So,
well, she had a month's worth of watching a master. After 30 days.
And he helped. And, they spatchcocked the turkey, and they tried it on Thanksgiving. Yes. And it was pretty good. They absolutely nailed it for Christmas. It was so good. I mean, it was so good. But anyway, but it wasn't like having everybody together, and it's, crowded and chaotic. And, some people really, don't like that. I kind of do. I kind of like the chaos. I kind of like, having everybody together. I sort of thrive in those environments.
How else can you test gaff tape on the kitchen floor if you don't have a crowd of people?
Yes, and viewers, that's a true story, by the way. When we were developing the NLFX gaff tape, it was one of the things I did. This is probably a decade ago now. We had several different formulas. We were testing different adhesives, different primers, different, fabrics, and all kinds of, it's very chemical. You don't really want to know about it. Anyway, when we felt like we had some winners, I put them on my wife's hardwood kitchen floors and let everybody walk all over them for Thanksgiving. That was how we knew that we were confident it was going to work, because if it didn't, I was going to die. So it worked. I'm here. Mm-hmm. And the gaff tape's great.
Yes, and the kitchen floor survived. So.
What's your number 3, Jim?
My final one is just to be able to do things with friends, experiencing things with friends specifically, whether it's going to a trade or show, like when we did the Allentown event, and we got to sit in the back of the back row in there, and we were the old guys, the 2 old guys from the Muppets type of thing, where we could just sit back.
I get
there
to be Stedman
and just enjoy some time together, and all the different aspects of that, where we can have that shared experience. Yes, we can have a shared experience online, but to be able to be sitting next to each other, and when someone says something completely stupid up on stage, where we could look at each other and laugh and whatever, those types of things you can't do online.
No, we're, and I said this before, people said, oh, events are never going to come back. And I said, that's just lunacy. The Romans were building a Colosseum, thousands of years ago. This is not something that just got, deprogrammed out of humans after 8 months. Come on, that's just nonsense. If anything, we're craving for it. And like I said, record bookings for the cruise industry sort of seems to underscore that. People are anxious to get back. Now, do I think 2021 will be like 2019 and it'll just be, COVID is gone and didn't happen? No, I don't. I don't think that. I think that it'll be a good year. I think that it'll be a dramatic improvement over 2020. I think 2022 will be, sort of normal. I think at that point, all the restrictions will be off. But bottom line, like you said, there's going to be opportunities in 21. We're going to be working. We're going to be paying our bills. I feel cautiously optimistic about it. And actually, I feel very optimistic about it. I just don't want to jinx us.
Yeah.
So,
because
I'll say that.
Yeah, last year at this time, we were all like, "Woo-hoo, look at that calendar, dates full, and it's gonna be great." But I think we've got a positive road ahead of us here as we continue into the next year. So looking forward to it.
Like you and I said, this, if anything, 2020 took pressure off of us as administrators. We said, oh, there's no way we're hitting any business objectives this year. So don't blame me. It's a pandemic, I go face the board and go,
well,
what would you have done different, Anyway.
Yeah. So, well, gang, we're going to wrap things up for tonight. We've got Brian and Jay on deck, and they'll be coming back here at the top of the hour. We're going to be talking about, I asked the 2 guys to go through and pick 10 songs from 2020. And if any of those 10 songs will be something we'll be actually able to remember in 5 years from now. That
they have to be songs that came out in 2020.
That's what I'm hoping for, is that they did that. But I mean, if they charted, we're gonna kind of play. We're gonna have some leeways as they're going through, so we'll have some fun with that. So.
I was just thinking, wake me up when September ends. But anyway,
that's a little bit, maybe a little older. Yeah, a little.
Yeah, well, that'll be a good show. And viewers, thanks for sticking with us this year. Thanks for hanging in there. Happy New Year. Like I said, the sun's going to rise tomorrow and the day after that. And we made it. We made it through 2020.
Yeah, that's the important part. So, Ben, thank you very much for all the things you've done for us this year, and the information you've shared, and the passion for our industry. And I'm looking forward to doing more stuff next year. Everybody, have yourself a wonderful New Year's Eve, and we'll catch you on the other side in 2021. Good night, everyone.
See you, everybody.